أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا
نعمده ونشكره ونستعينه ونستعديه ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the title of my khutbah today is Our Youth, Our Future. That is, our youth are our future. And I've chosen this topic today for a purpose. In the past few weeks, the news has been very full of Muslim youth, male and female, sneaking out of the country. I mean, very young female Muslim children sneaking out of the country without telling their parents, wanting to go to Syria to fight, to become widows, actually. And just yesterday, I think, somebody was sentenced at village court, whereby he was also planning to go to Syria to fight. And if you listen to the argument on the television and radio, the argument between him and his parents trying to prevent him from going, it becomes very, very worrying. As a Muslim community, as Muslims, as Muslim leaders, you cannot close our eyes and think that this is not happening. It is happening. We need to talk about it and also to advise ourselves about it. There's no saying the fact that the youth of every generation is the future of that generation. As adults, as senior members of community, as parents, we need to be worried about this situation that is happening to our youth. Because as I titled the khutbah, our youth are our future. The Muslim youth of today, will hold Islam on after every one of us have gone. And it is important for them, it should be our concern that they have a good understanding of Islam and they practice Islam as it should be. We therefore need to ensure that our youth today become good leaders for tomorrow, rather than become the losers tomorrow. We should make sure that our leaders are the leaders of tomorrow, our youth are leaders of tomorrow who can take the deen forward rather than them being the losers. The future belongs to those who prepare for it. And we, as Muslims today, must prepare for it through our youth. If we do not prepare them, it becomes really difficult for them to be able to take the religion forward. It's our responsibility, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, for us to really appreciate this. And on this front, I want to remind us, the basis of my khutbah will be a hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which every one of us, I believe, will have heard and we know. Therefore, it's a big reminder. That hadith is very, very important. This hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته فالإمام الذي على الناس راع وهو مسؤول عن رعيته والرجل راع على أهل بيته وهو مسؤول عن رعيته والمرأة راعية على أهل بيت زوجها وولدها وهي مسؤولة عنهم وعبد الرجل راع على مال سيده وهو مسؤول عنه ألا فكلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته متفق عليه. This hadith is agreed upon, narrated by both Muslim and Bukhari. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is said to have said in this hadith, he said, certainly you are all guardians. You know, the Prophet used an allegory of a shepherd. If you want to translate it literally, you say the Prophet said, all of you are shepherds and you will be responsible for your flock. You know, but we are human beings, so we have to understand it in context. The Prophet said, when he says, Kullukum ra'in, he says, you are all guardians. Wa kullukum mas'ulun an rayyatihi. And you are all responsible for your wards, for your children, for your wards, for people under you. And he went on to explain it in detail. He said, فَإِمَامُ الَّذِي عَلَى النَّاسِ رَاءٍ وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَيَّتِهِ. He said anybody who is a leader in community, he used the title of Imam. He said anybody who is a leader in community, he is a guardian and for the community and he is responsible for the community. So actually by raising this point, as an imam who leads prayer here, I am fulfilling the responsibility of reminding us that we are all guardians and we must fulfill our responsibility, particularly in relation to our children. We should not close our eyes as if this problem is not existing. The Prophet then said, وَالرَّجُلُ رَاعٍ عَلَى أَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَيَّتِهِ. He said the father, the husband, that is the father, is the guardian of all the people in his household, and he will be responsible for them. Allah will ask him about them on Yawm al-Qiyamah. وَالْمَرْأَةُ رَاعِيَّةٌ عَلَى أَهْلِ بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا وَوَلَدِهَا وَهِيَ مَسْئُولَةٌ عَنْهُ. Even the mother, the wife, the Prophet said the wife, you know, is also a guardian over all the people in the household of the husband, and she will be asked about it. وَعَبْدُ الرَّجُلُ رَاعٍ عَلَى مَالِ سَيِّدِهِ وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْهُ. And even the servant, you know, who looks after the property of his master, that servant is a guardian upon the property of the master, and she must be asked about it. And he completed it saying, Allah, certainly you should know, فَكُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ, each one of you is a guardian, فَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَيَّتِهِ. And every one of you is responsible for your works, both here in this world and in the hereafter. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't speak in vain. When the Prophet says this, you will always find a corroboration for it in the Quran. You know what Allah tells us in the Quran in Surah Al-Tahrim? Allah says a lot of the time we think only about ourselves. Today, because of work, because of qasam, a lot of the time we forget our responsibilities in relation to those who are under us. Yet the Quran tells us, "Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara." The Quran tells us that you should protect yourselves and all your household, your relations from the hellfire. It is not only us, we should not only think about ourselves. Based on this hadith and the ayah in Surah Al-Tahrim, Quran chapter 66 verse 6, when Allah commands us believers that we should all make effort to save ourselves and people under us from the hellfire. It makes it obligatory upon us. My dear brothers and sisters, if you understand this hadith well, we should be really, really concerned about this situation whereby youth sneak out of their parents' care without the parents knowing and then go on to commit havoc in another country, believing that when they do that, they are serving Islam. What this raises it raises the question of the building of our youths. Building our youths. A lot of the time, we parents, we are quick to quote the Quran. Surah Al-Isra, Quran chapter 17, ayah 23, that Allah commanded the children. We are always very quick to quote it. Most of parents have memorized this ayah in mind. We say, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. We always say this. Allah has commanded you that you should not worship anything about Him, apart from Him. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And you should do good to your parents. We always emphasize it. But if we look at that ayah, towards the end of the ayah, Allah says that, the children should actually just pray for the parents. When Allah says, وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Allah says the children should pray to Allah that, oh Allah, bless my parents. Irhamhuma. Bless my parents, kama rabbayani saghira, as they raised me when I was young. So that shows that the parents have responsibility. If you look at the dua, that dua says that the child should ask Allah to bless the parents as they raised me when I was young. So, raising the child is a condition for you receiving the blessing of Allah. Therefore, in this ayah, we should understand the fact that we have a responsibility. Parents have a very big responsibility in relation to how we raise our children. How we raise them, not only physically, but also intellectually, and also making them to understand. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, if you are not very conscious of this as parents, youth of today face a lot of challenges. Particularly in this, we are in a fleeting world now. Youth face a lot of challenges. Particularly Muslim youth in this country. There are identity crises. A lot of I'm an academic. You see it clearly in many of the Muslim youth in this country that they have identity, they don't know who they are. And not, it's about who am I? They are caught in between cultures. Therefore, it is essential for us parents to identify this. In trying to find out who they are, they can swing anywhere. So it is very, very essential for us to know this. There is because of a lot of things, there is the challenge of low self-esteem. You find so many Muslim youths believe that they are not, really wanted in society. They are not worth anything. It is our responsibility as parents and as community, as Allah has imposed, the Prophet ﷺ has said in that hadith, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. We need to appreciate these challenges and try as much as possible to be able to, engage with them and make sure that they are on the right. And not many of our youth are concerned. They are confused about what is right morally and what is wrong. They don't. They find themselves in not knowing what is right and what is. Sometimes actually they are confronted with challenge of naivety. Sometimes our youths are very naive. They believe that the society in which we are is a free society. They can do whatever they want. Not knowing that there is a limit that you can go. It is very, very essential. This naivety, I see it in many of our youths, many of our students. They believe that this is a very good society, it's a free society. You can achieve whatever, you can do whatever you want without any limit. It's essential for us parents to be able to engage with our youth in that regard. Now, the ulama have indicated in relation to youthfulness, that is, there are three types of youths, and it is essential for us to be able to appreciate this. Some of the scholars indicate that a youth or our children can fall into either of these three categories. You can find a youth maybe because of the training, because of the commitment of the parents to them regarding education, regarding religious instructions. You find out that they have a good understanding of the religion. The ulama call them those that are rightly guided about the religion. They understand the religion, they have confidence in their parents, and they be able to ask them about religion. The second category are youths who have a wrong understanding of the religion. The ulama call these the wrongly guided or the misguided. They think they know, but they really, when you talk to them, you find out that their understanding is very wrong in relation to the religion. And there are those who are confused, they are unclear, they are neither here nor there. And the problem is many, particularly in this country, many of the Muslim youth or most of the Muslim youth are in the third category. That is, they are confused, they don't know what is right or what is wrong in relation to the religion. And the danger is the likelihood is that they will swing towards the second category of those who do not have the correct knowledge if you don't engage with them. Because you see, usefulness is like a spark of fire. You find out that, the normal everyday good understanding of Islam, of everything that we have, because youths, they are like a spark of fire. They want something different. The ordinary understanding of Islam that we have, they feel it boring. When they hear any extreme view upon that, they feel this is different and they feel challenged by it. That is what they want to hold on. Except we want to continue engaging with them and letting them know that the right is what we are telling them. Therefore, it's very, very essential. The point is, we need to engage with our youth more and more. We need to engage with our youth more and more and try to make sure that we inform them. If you want to build a good usefulness, it requires first the prayer of the parents and also the prayer of the youths themselves. This brings me to the members from the Ashab al-Kahf. The Ashab al-Kahf were youths themselves. And when they find themselves in a situation, in a community in which they didn't know where to turn, their turning was to Allah and they prayed. They said, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً وَهَيِّ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا. If you look in Surah Al-Kahf, Quran chapter 18, ayahs 9 to 10, therefore we should, when we engage with our youths, we should impress this in their mind, that a good Muslim youth, the first thing is to start to make sure that they pray and ask Allah for divine guidance. Then secondly, we should make sure that they are free to talk to us, to ask questions. We should ensure that they talk to us, they ask questions. And this is a message for both us, the parents, and the youth. We should make sure that they ask. The Quran tells us, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. You find evidences in the Quran. The Quran says, ask those who know if you do not know. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of youth you see, they are youths. I have heard about who actually find it very, very, even very difficult to talk to their parents. Because, the opening is not there. The parents even doesn't have time. Think about it strongly. Since all these things were happening, I have reviewed, I've revised, thought in my mind, I've thought strongly, how many quality hours do I spend a day with my children? How many quality hours? It is not how many quality hours do you spend with your youth, talking to them, engaging with them, talking about deen, talking about work. What did you do? How was your work today? How was school today? How many hours? Not just inflating, sitting down properly and using quality hours. Because today we are in the modern world, a lot of these things take a lot of our time. We are either watching television or you are perpetually on your laptop. You are perpetually on your mobile phone. It's very, very essential. It's important that we remember this. We need to spend quality time with our parents, our children, no matter how old we think they are. They are children, And the ulama actually have categorized, the classification of children. In this country, because we believe the fact that, it's an advanced society. When children are in their early teens, a lot of the time, we parents fall into the temptation. We don't want to intervene in what they are doing. We want to give them their freedom, even in their early teens. This is not what Islam teaches us. The ulama have categorized that there are 4 periods in life. There are 4 periods in life. The first period is the period of childhood. The period of childhood is when the child is born, right from birth up to around 13 to 15 years. If you look in all the books of fiqh, you find the ulama indicating that when we talk about bulugh, if the natural biological changes which the classical scholars use to determine bulugh does not happen, most of the ulama indicate that when a child reaches 15 years, automatically they have reached the age of bulugh. So ulama indicate a child, from when a child is born up to around 13, 15, you need to have, strong interaction with the child about deen, about life, about what is going around them. Talk to them, find quality time for them. The second level is when the child reaches their mid-teens up to around 19 years. That is, from around 16 to 19. This is what we call the teenage years. And this is usually very troublesome for youth. This is where youth becomes a bit of trouble. When they become a lot of trouble, parents need to know how to engage with them. You need to know how to engage with them by exercising a lot of patience and trying to explain what life. They demonstrate a lot of naivety during their teens. It is at this time, and this is the danger period. You know, from around 16 to 19, within years our child, leave them, let them, I mean, we don't want to intervene in whatever they do. It is very, very essential to continue engaging with them. Then the period of real youth, from 20 to 40, around 20 to 40 years. You know, when a child reaches that age, some parents don't even want to intervene at all. 20, my child is, you don't want to talk to them, you don't want to, it's very, very essential. Islam indicates that you have to continue engaging with, you see, a family, family in Islam is very, very strong. You know, a family that talks together, a family that eats together, a family that prays together, stays together. So it is very, very essential for us to encourage our children in this regard. Now, parental rules. You know, because the essence altogether is that we parents have a responsibility and the community here also has a responsibility. Parental roles are very, very essential. You know, we have a responsibility, Kamara Bayani Sagira, as they raised me when I was young. And this starts with good upbringing and good maintenance. You know, the ulama, some of them take it even back in relation to, that the good upbringing of a child actually starts before the child is born. Including how, choosing a mother. You know, you choose a good mother for the child, and after the child is born, you give the child a good name so that the name can actually have a good impact on the child. And then you raise them in a way that nourishes both their body and soul in the proper way. After this, you have a responsibility to educate the children. You educate them, education. You see, education can be formal and informal. A lot of us, we send our children to school and we want the school to do everything. When they go, children learn in two ways. Formally in the schools and informally at home. Formally in the schools and informally at home. It is essential. Whatever we do in our homes, when our children are around us, is very, very essential. They learn a lot from it. You know, they learn a lot from it. You need to act in a way that you build confidence, particularly in various ways with your children, in various ways about your deen. You find a parent who doesn't pray normally, he doesn't pray regularly. When the azan is made for salah, he doesn't go for his salah, he's watching television. Yet, he will be the most severe child, the most severe parent on the child, wanting to instill Islam in him. You have to do this as Islam. But the child will find himself in a confused state. Thinking that my father is saying that I should pray, I should do this. But azan has been made, he's still on his computer, he doesn't go to pray. The child will find himself in a very confused state. Say, what is this? It is like hypocrisy. You may not talk, but it is very, very essential. This is what the situation of confusion starts. That if it is so important to him telling me to do this, why is he not doing it? You know? So we need to act what we say in relation to our children, particularly in the informal way especially when we are at home. You know, we have to give them good religious upbringing. And for us to be able to do so, we as parents ourselves should have a good understanding of the religion. You know, we have to have a good understanding of a religion. You, the parent, need to move on and learn about the religion so that you can be able to engage with your child, you can be able to talk to them and engage with them. You know, we should not neglect our children, as I said earlier. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, since these issues have been happening, I've told you, I have revised in my mind, indicating that how much quality time. I don't have very small children. I have children who are really very grown up. But I thought that, do I really spend quality time? We do talk, but I have thought over it. I want every one of us to think about it. How many hours quality time, quality time, do we spend with our children? You know, a day, a week, in a month. And what do we discuss? We need to be able to comfortably, you know, don't let us be deceived by society. You don't want to talk about religion. In Islam, we talk about our religion in our homes. You know, discuss the deen with your children in the home, so that they can be able to, you can be from the beginning, you can be able to really understand their own understanding of it, and where there is issues, you can quickly actually correct them. And if you're not able to correct them, you can actually find intervention from the community to correct it. And parents should pray for their children. You know, See, for example, we have examples in Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. We should feel proud, that we should feel thankful to Allah that Allah has given us good children. Ibrahim was praying, told Allah, Alhamdulillah, alladhi wahaba li ala al-qibr Ismail wa Ishaq. Inna rabbina sami'u dua. Then he said, Rabbi ja'alni muqima as-salah wa min zuriyati rabbana wa taqabbal dua. Ibrahim appreciated that even in his old age, Allah has given him children, Ismail and Ishaq. And then he prayed, oh Allah, make me someone who worships you, including my children. And this shows that he says, make me somebody who upholds salah for you. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي, and also my children. You cannot expect your children to do it properly if you yourself, and no matter how much you shout on them. And also you find in the Quran, one of the examples, one of the descriptions of the real believers, Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Those who pray that, oh Allah, grant us from our wives and our children, قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ, children who will be, pleasure to the eyes. وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا, and make us leaders amongst the Muslims. So it is quite essential, as I'm saying, that we parents have an important role. We have a very, very, very important role. Although our children also must take responsibility. Our youths must take responsibility. As I said, they have a responsibility to ask. Ask questions. Ask if you do not know. Particularly, if you want to ask, if you understand Islam very well, if you understand the conditions of faith, you find, in my engagement with some of our youth, you find out that, a lot of the time, when things happen, or they have misunderstanding or confusion about issues, quickly, because of the world in which we are now, some of them will tell you that I have a sheikh in Egypt. Some of our children will say, I have a sheikh in Egypt, I have a sheikh in Saudi Arabia who are eye contact. The first thing they do in anything, they phone or they send an email to one sheikh in Egypt. They phone and send, if that sheikh understands Islam very well, and I have been engaging with some of the leading shuyukh even in Saudi Arabia, when people contact them like that, what they tell them, they say, find a scholar within your community who understands the society, who understands the circumstances of your community, and put the fiqh question to him. And he will answer you based on the circumstances of the area. So it is very, very essential our youth should know there are scholars within our community. You don't need somebody from Egypt or Saudi Arabia to give you fatwa on any issue. You have to contact the people within your community who understand the community, who understand the problem you are facing, and then they will be able to give you adequate fatwa. Because fatwas have to take into consideration the bayah, that is the circumstances and the place of that issue is happening. So it's very, very essential for our youth also to take responsibility in that regard. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I am sending this as a message for both our youth and for both our parents. What these children are doing is not Islamic. If you look at what is happening in Syria, what they are, the non-Islamic state, which calls itself Islamic in Syria, is doing, they commit so many atrocities which is against Islam. Is it what our children feel is Islam they are going to join? If this is what they believe is good Islam, wallahi, we are all in trouble. We are all in trouble. It is very, very essential for us to take this seriously and make sure that we talk it to our children for them to be able to understand. And therefore, we'll be assured of a proper future, leaving the future in the hands of those who will take Islam forward as Allah has commanded it to be. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, I pray that may Allah save us from this calamity, and may Allah continue to, make us able to fulfill our responsibility in relation to raising our children. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the second part of my khutbah, I want to emphasize on the role of the community. The role of the community, we don't need everything completely in the hands of the parents. The community also has a very big role to play. In every community, there is a need for youth assistance mechanisms. And it's essential. In this our own community, we have every Muslim community, everywhere in the world, including everywhere. There should be youth assistance mechanisms that will be available in order to engage with youth. particularly in relation to all the challenges that I mentioned earlier that they are facing. This could include religious challenges. In this our own community, we have scholars within this community who receive calls all the time. Their telephone numbers are on the notice board everywhere, and we are open. Therefore, we are really reminding our youth, in relation to any issue, make sure that you get in touch. I was really pushed last week, and this is why I thought it's necessary. And one of our children, and he was really forthright in mentioning this to me. He said he had an issue with his family, and he thought there was an issue. We are here, there's a community as from within our community. So he ran and said, what's the problem? He said, well, he had a problem. He ran his sheikh in Egypt, but the sheikh told him that he should find a scholar within the community and talk to him. I said, well, that is what you should have done first before you started fooling Egypt. We are here, so you think we cannot really answer your problem. So it is essential for our children to understand. There are scholars here who are qualified, who are very, very qualified to give you, fatwas and also, instruction on Islam. Regarding careers, many of the challenges relate to careers. We have mechanisms, we have people who are really, career champions within our community here, who can serve as mentors for our youth. And we operate an open door policy. Our children can contact and also benefit from this all the time. There are many examples in the community. There are many examples in the community. For example, I don't talk about this, but we have so many youths here. I am going to meet someone. We have a youth group in this mosque. I'm going to meet them in a couple of weeks to talk to them. Sometimes we don't talk much about ourselves. I am a professor. I'm a professor of law. I take it upon myself to come to pray in order to serve as motivation for our youth. So it is essential, and we have many other professionals here who can be mentors for our youth, who our youth can look up to, so that we can direct them, to do what is right. We have a counseling, group and community here, which perhaps, we all know already. To round up, I want to give you one hadith in relation to what these children are doing. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized, there's this hadith which is narrated by Bukhari, to show that it is not even right for a child to, for whatever reason, for a child to sneak out on the family, for whatever reason. In this hadith, narrated by Malik ibn Huwayrith, Malik ibn Huwayrith said, أتينا إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ونحن شبيبة متقاربون. He said we came to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we were youths of the same age. That is, some youths came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina. He said, فَقُمْنَا إِنْدَهُ عِشْرِينَ يَوْمًا وَلَيْلًا. We stayed with the Prophet for 20 days and nights. They were with the Prophet. They came, they were looking for, youths look for action. They wanted to know the religion. They stayed with the Prophet for 20 days. وَكَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ رَحِيمًا رَفِيقًا. And they said we found the Prophet was very merciful and very, very pleasant. They learned this lesson of rahmah from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَلَمَّا زَنَّ أَنَّا قَدْ إِسْتَقَّنَا أَهَلَنَا سَعَلَنَا أَمَّنْ تَرَكْنَا بَعْدَنَا. When the Prophet, after 20 days, the Prophet felt that, we might be causing problems for our families at home. So the Prophet asked us about those who left back at home. He said, you are youths. Did you leave any back at home? فَخَبَّرْنَاهُ فَقَالَ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And they said, and we informed the Prophet that we left our parents, we have parents at home, we have people at home. فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And the Prophet said, إِرْجِعُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِكُمْ فَأَقِيمُوا فِيهِمْ وَعَلِّمُوهُمْ وَمُرُّوهُمْ وَذَكَرَ أَشْيَاءَ. The Prophet said, you all have to go back now to your people. Stay within them. Go back to your parents. Stay within them. Whatever knowledge you have learned with me, teach it to them. Remind them of the religion and also encourage them. The Prophet didn't say, but the Prophet indicated quite clearly that youth cannot do this. The Prophet could have said, well, I'm the Prophet of Allah, stay with me, I will teach you everything. The Prophet didn't say so. He said, you have to go back because you will be causing problems for your parents back at home. Look at all these children who have gone away. You see the parents crying. They live a lot of problem with the parents. It goes contrary to this hadith. Even those who tell them to stay with them, they are contradicting this hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. They should ask them what is the situation of the people who are living back at home. And they will find out that they are causing problems for, and they should send them back to their people at home. There's authority for this. This hadith is narrated by Bukhari. So it is very, very essential, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, for us to be able to appreciate it. And it is a message for you parents and for all you youths who are here. You need to understand Islam properly. If you have any confusion or none of the understanding about Islam, there are leaders within this community, there are scholars within this community whom you can talk to. May Allah guide every one of us aright, and may Allah continue to support us and continue to support Islam. Before I round up my prayers, فإنك سبحانك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك فإنه لا يذل من عليك ولا يعز من عاديت تبارك ربنا وتعالى ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا